So let's now also use the custom hook for the entered email. For this, I'll call useInput here, and we get back this object with all that data we can pull out and use here. For example, the value which I'll assign to a entered email alias. The isValid value which I'll assign to an entered email isValid alias. We'll get hasError, which I'll assign to the email input hasError alias, and reformat this to make it easier to read. We'll get the value change handler, which I'll assign to email change handler, and the same for the input blur handler, which I assign to email blur handler, and then reset, which I'll assign to reset email input. We also need to pass in our validation function, and hence I'll grab this logic, and then again, define a function here, inline, which gets a value, which will be passed in from inside the hook, where I then return the result of calling includes at on this value. This determines whether this is valid or not. With that, I can get rid of these two lines of code. We can get rid of these two lines of code here. And then here, for the overall form validity, we already are using entered email is valid, so that works. We can get rid of the email input change handler and the email input blur handlers. Here in the form submission handler, we also, of course, want to reset the email input. And then here, I want to use the email input hasError field to determine the CSS classes. And if we scroll down to the JSX code, here I want to use the email change handler and the email blur handler and the email input hasError field here. And with that, we're using this hook for the email input as well. We can also get rid of the useState import now, because here I'm now not using useState anymore. And with that again, if I reload here, this both behaves as it did before, but now with less code duplication here. Now we have a working code here with help of our custom hook, which we can call and pull out the values which we need, where all the logic then resides inside of that hook, and hence our component can stay a bit leaner and can focus mostly on the JSX, on validating the overall form, which is fairly simple, and on handling the form submission.